Dream Team, it's your boy Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with why the Dutch always say what they mean. Before we dive in, figure out why they do this, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. Dutch, what we talking about?
I'm afraid I can't make it because I'd be travelling there especially for you. A Dutch contributor recently responded to a meeting request. Blunt and very honest. A stark contrast to how we speak in the UK.
British people and Americans and others to some extent tend to sort of dance around the issues.
If you are vague or not direct, then people will say, well, come on, let's be honest so we can move on.
I was born in the Netherlands but grew up in the UK, so I've always noticed the two extremes. British politeness and Dutch directness. But how much truth is there to this stereotype?
Let's find out.
The Dutch are known as being direct, which means that the style is that the messages are quite precise and clear. They say what they mean what they say. So yes is really yes, and yet no is really no. Tomorrow is really tomorrow. Whereas in most other countries, the communication style is indirect.
Yeah, maybe always means no. Possibly means probably not. The Dutch people tend to be much more, what they would say, rechtdoor, straightforward.
Maybe always means, maybe for me usually means no. Possibly means probably. If it's not a yes, it's basically a no. Anything that's not a yes means that I don't want to do whatever it is. So anything that's not a yes is basically a no. But okay, he said I don't want to travel there. Especially if it's just for you, like, Jesus. Oh, okay. But I ain't got no problem with people being direct, saying what they meaning what they say, right? It tends to be better than people that just beat around the bush just to try to save your feelings. It's like, nah, just be direct, be straight up, tell the truth, don't sugarcoat it. No problem with that.
Forwards, telling things how it really is, which can come as a bit of a surprise to outsiders.
Author Ben Coates grew up in the UK but has lived in the Netherlands for over a decade.
I remember just in my first couple of weeks living in the country, I went and got a haircut and then went back to work afterwards. And the first thing one of my colleagues said was, it looked better before you went for a haircut.
Dutch directness comes from a long history of
honesty,
which benefits the Netherlands to this day.
The direct communication style is part of the consensus culture.
The Netherlands was formed based on Calvinist roots going back hundreds of years, became a great trading nation and a very successful wealthy nation during the 17th century golden age. You have a political culture which is extremely focused on consensus and compromise here.
So people learn to share ideas and come up with own opinions. And it was needed to be honest about your ideas and your thoughts and your opinions so they could find out a common solution. And that still is. It is deep-rooted and it's still a part of the communication style.
I went to meet business psychologist Aukje Nauta, who explains that this cultural stereotype means the Dutch sometimes come across as rude.
I think that the Dutch are perceived as more direct because we use less often words like please, could you please, should you, and that explains why we come across as less polite. In the Netherlands, being polite is as important as in England.
It's meant to be honest and clear, but it's often perceived as being rude and arrogant.
The reason why...
I guess it's just a different culture. It's just, you know what I'm saying? That's all that it is. Whereas over here in UK and the US and other places where, like, it would be considered rude, I guess, to be very direct. And a lot of people who get looked at as rude or mean or, you know what I'm saying, unapproachable. Whereas it's a different culture over there in the Netherlands where it's like, it doesn't mean that they're not polite, but that's just the way it is over there. That's just, you know what I'm saying? They're just going to be straight up and be honest with you. No point in lying. No point in beating around the bush. No point in sugarcoating. And it's not them being mean. It's how it is.
It's often perceived as being rude and even arrogant.
The reason why cultural comparisons are problematic is that it leads to stereotyping. This means that when you look at a Dutch person as very rude and direct, you are not that curious about what kind of person he or she is. And I think it's important to be curious after each other, because then you can make much better connections than when you put someone in a box instead of being really interested in a person.
She's
When
preaching.
it comes to everyday conversations, this expectation of directness can result in some unfortunate misunderstandings.
Well, the Netherlands, when they speak and learn English and when they translate the English language, they will literally translate it. If you have a business proposal and the Englishman or woman says, well, that's very interesting, I will have a look at it, we really translate that, oh, that's interesting, so they are interested. While it could also mean, well, I'm not interested and it's a bad idea.
You can never just straight up say that someone's work is not good. That instinct is quite deeply ingrained in British society. It also extends to just trying to avoid causing offence and always saying things in the nicest possible way.
Factual. I mean, that's just the way you're raised. That's just the way it is in the UK. That's just the way it is in the US. You try to avoid offending someone, although in the US people be offended all the time. And I think they get more bold about their offensive nature. But you try to avoid offending someone. You don't just straight up, hey, this work sucks. This will be interesting. I'll check it out and let you know. Where I guess in the Netherlands they gonna be like, no, this is not good. Which, I mean, that's better feedback for the person because they know, hey, okay, this is not good. I got to do better.
Avoid causing offence and always saying things in the nicest possible way.
And then the challenge for Dutch people is to find out what the real meaning of the words is. And we can both speak English, but it doesn't mean that we get the real message.
For example, there's a British sort of tick of saying, oh, you must come for dinner, or we must do it again sometime soon, when obviously the last thing you mean is that person should come for dinner next week. Whereas Dutch people naturally, inevitably tend to take those kind of statements more literally, I think, and the invitation will be in your inbox the next day.
And also, of course, for the people in the UK, it's challenging to not be that shocked because of the directness.
A British person would see sort of hedging around a difficult issue or politeness and civility, whereas a Dutch person might see the same thing as being actually dishonest. It's not just undesirable, but actually an unpleasant thing to do for a Dutch person.
You can see traces of this type of transparency all over the Netherlands. How people queue, leave curtains open for passers-by to peep inside, and even how they normalise nudity.
I think to some extent the Dutch are less prudish than the British when it comes to swimming naked or going to saunas or those kind of things. Go to a popular beach in the Netherlands on a sunny day and you sometimes feel like there's more naked people there than people with swimming costumes on.
When you
that's
can't
wild.
show your body.
That's a different culture, dog. Nudity ain't normalized over here in the West. You gotta pay. You know what I'm saying? OnlyFans saying like it would be free for the Dutch. You feel me? Hey, sure, they showing their body out just walking around. Over here it's like you gotta pay. But yeah, I feel like nudity over here is not normal to walk around in the nude. I guess. Like it's so ingrained. I don't even feel comfortable like walking around my house in a nude, dog. Like I don't know what it is. I'm so used to having clothes on all the time where I've got to have at least underwear on it walking around my own crib.
More naked people there than people with swimming costumes on.
When you can't show your body, the consequence is you associate nude bodies with sexuality. Whereas when you change clothes at the beach and you see a little bit of nakedness, then it's just ordinary. It normalizes a naked body.
Although I should say, I think it's hard to be more prude than the British when it comes to that stuff. So I'm not sure how much of it is just the Dutch being more normal and the British being excessively prude, but there probably is a big difference there.
So if you really want something, just say it how it is. Just be aware that some people may mistake your honesty for rudeness. And remember, if you say, we must meet for dinner to a Dutch person, they really will expect an invite.
Hey, say what you mean and mean what you say. It ain't a bad way to live. It sounds kind of nice. You know what I'm saying? You know when you're being lied to, when you're not being lied to, because they just pure honesty. Pure honest. Now you might get offended, you might be upset, you might get hurt sometimes, but that comes with brutal honesty. That's all we got. Make sure y'all subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up. It's your boy D Neal. Out.